Hi Year 3, hope you're all okay. Welcome to our English lesson today. It is Friday the 5th of March and this is the last one that we will be doing remotely. We will all be back in class next week and we are really looking forward to seeing you all. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a rewind to everything that we have been doing over the last 2 weeks because we've been building up to today's lesson. So we started off by looking at prepositions. We then looked at the prepositions of the monsters within the stable. We then started to create prepositional phrases using our rainbow grammar. We then looked at our sensors because we know that the author, when creating a setting description, uses their sensors, and we sorted those into sections. Then we looked at similes using our sensors, and that all leads to today's lesson. So we are going to look at our what. So our what is to write a setting description using prepositional phrases and similes. That has been our main focus, the prepositional phrases and our similes. So it is really important that today when you are writing your setting description that you include prepositional phrases and similes in order to achieve the objective of today's lesson. We're going to do that by practicing that new learning that we've had, and why it's so that we can describe how the stable looked when Pan and Demon arrived. Okay, so if we rewind all the way back to that first week, here is our tree map of a setting description. So we said the purpose was to describe, the audience was for anybody, the presentation was an image and then a paragraph, and then the language, it was similes, adjectives and prepositional phrases. So today, when we are writing our setting description, our main focus is our language, because we're going to be using those prepositional phrases and our similes. But obviously, as we write a setting description, we want to present it correctly. So we are going to use an image, and then we are going to write our description in a paragraph. Okay, so if we have a look at this, this is one that I have written for you. So what I would like you to do is I'd like you to put those glasses on to evaluate it. I have got a checklist here. I would like you to have a look, think about what is great about it and what can be done to make it even better. If you just want to pause it now, you can go down the checklist to see whether I have included all of those things I've got on that checklist. So pause it now and you can go through and okay, so hopefully you've had time to look through it and go through that checklist. So I'm going to read it to you. As he approached the stables, the smell of animals filled his nostrils and he heard roaring. When he entered the stables, the cattle of the sun, a hydra, a griffin, and many Stymphalian birds rested. Okay, what I would like to do is to go through it together so that we can check these things together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my other camera and then we can see the checklist and the description together. So here I'm going to do a new share and hopefully it is. Oh, this one, just here. So I have got the setting description and I have got the checklist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through it together. So I'm going to have a look for these things in here. Okay, so a prepositional phrase, it tells us when or where something is. So as he approached the stables, the son of animals filled his nostrils and he heard roaring when he entered the stables. So these are our adverbial phrases that are at the front that are telling us when. Okay, so our prepositional phrases have been where in relation to something else. So we can see that we have got adverbial phrases. Okay, so when he entered the stables, the smell of animals filled his nostrils and he heard roaring. So this is telling us that he smelt something and he heard something. So we've got smell and hear on our senses. Okay, when he entered the stables, the cattle of the sun, the hydra, and the griffin, and many Stamfolian birds rested. So it was what he saw, but there isn't anything about what he felt. Okay, so I'm not going to tick that. Expanded noun phrases. So we know that an expanded noun phrase is when it includes adjectives. So it could be that adjectives are before the noun, or it could be that the adjectives have been added, that more information has been added using with or that. Okay, so if I have a look, when he approached the stables, the smell of animals filled, and he heard when he entered, love the sun. No, so I can't see any expanded noun phrases at the moment. I can see noun phrases because I can see the cattle of the sun. So that includes the determiner and the noun, as opposed to just the noun being on its own. Compound sentence, have I got and? So but or in there. As he approached the stables, the smell of them, and he heard roaring. Yeah, when he entered the stables, the cattle of the sun, the hide of the griffin, and many Stamfolian. That's not included as a compound sentence, but here filled his nostrils and he heard roaring. So I've got one in there. Okay, have I got any adjectives in there? I've got, no, doesn't describe the stables, doesn't describe the smell, doesn't describe any of the animals, so I haven't included these, haven't included any similes, and our preposition as he approached the stables, and Stamfolian when he entered the stables. So, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I've got lots of gaps. We were looking at specifically with our prepositional phrases to say where something was in relation to something else. So I'm not going to tick that at the moment. So in order to make our setting description better, we need to add all of these things that we have not included. Okay, so just having a look at this one here, I was wondering how it could be that we can develop it. So what I am going to do is I am going to take us back to a different screen. I'm going to keep that here. I'm going to move this, and then hopefully I'm going to be able to share two screens with you. So I'm going to go to this one here, and then I'm going to do this and this one. Okay, so I'm going to move that way. Okay, so I'm leaving this checklist on here so that we can see. In fact, what I might do is I might add some marks to here so that I can say what I've got. So we had the smell, see in the here, we had those, didn't have, we had compound sentence, and we didn't have any of the others. So hopefully now I can move this one off here, and that way I can just use this here. So how can I make this better? Okay, I'm going to do it on the whiteboard, but when you are doing it in your, I would really like it if you could do it in your book. Okay, so when you are doing it in your book, you would turn to the next clean page and you will write the date at the top of the page. So the date is Friday, the 5th of March. 2021. Okay, so the top part you can either put out this picture and stick it in, or you can draw your own picture that you can add. And so we will start part way down the page. So I'm just going to make a mark on there so that I know that I'm going to leave that top bit in order to draw a picture. So I'm going to leave this here now. Okay, I am going to use my book, but I am going to write it on this whiteboard so that it is better for you to see it, because when I'm writing in my book, it's quite small and it's not as easy for you to see it. Okay, so I am going to have a go at going to edit this together to make it even better using these that I haven't included here. Okay, so I like this first bit, as he approached the stables, but I'm going to make that even better with adding an adjective. So I'm going to say as he approached the. So I'm going to say something about the stables. So having a look at this, I can see that it's quite a tall building. It's quite dark, so it's quite gloomy. So I am going to add those adjectives. So as he approached the tall, gloomy stables, and I know that I need comma. Okay, after that proverbial phrase. So as he approached the tall, gloomy stables, the smell of animals. So how can I make that better? I can make that better again by adding some adjectives. So the disgusting. Smell of animals. So do you think these animals would be clean in order for them to smell? I think they would be quite dirty, which is why there is a smell. The smell of dirty animals filled his nostrils. And he heard roaring. Okay, so as he approached the tall, gloomy stables, the disgusting smell of dirty animals filled his nostrils, and he heard roaring. Okay, so when I was thinking back to the similes, I was thinking about things that I had written to describe the sounds that I heard or the things that I saw. So I think this might be a really nice place in order to add a simile. So I'm going to get my book and I'm going to look back to when I was doing similes. And I have here that there is one that's got roar and it is as loud as fireworks. So if I pop that here, I can see that I have got roar as loud as fireworks. So I'm going to add that so that it describes what the roaring was like. So, and he heard roaring as loud as fireworks. Okay. So we've had added some adjectives and I've now added a simile. Remember when we were looking at the book, we didn't need to add a simile for every sentence that we were writing. In each chapter, there was only really one or two similes. So by just adding that one simile, it makes my writing better. It helps people to understand how loud it was, but it doesn't become too repetitive with lots of similes in there. So I can now say, if I get my mark, I can say I've now done similes and I have also added some adjectives. Okay, so I'm then going to move on to the next bit. So when he, what else is it? So when he entered the stable, okay, I'm going to, then this is where you can describe those beasts that you have seen. So those sentences that you start to write, I'm not going to leave that as one sentence because I have listed those things that I've seen, but I've not actually given them any more information and I've not included a prepositional phrase with those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down a little bit more and I'm going to look back to the prepositional phrases that I did on Tuesday the 2nd of March. So I am going to say when he entered the sale, I'm going to say a hideous, so I'm going to describe it, a hideous griffin and the mighty cattle of the sun waited behind their huge pen doors. Okay, so here, when he entered the stables, a hideous griffin and the mighty cattle of the sun waited behind their huge pen doors. So I've again added an adjective to describe the griffin and an adjective to describe the cattle of the sun, but I have added that verb and that prepositional phrase in order to include a simple rainbow grammar sentence. Okay, because I have got my noun, my predicate, or my subject, my predicate, and included in that predicate, I have got a prepositional phrase, so I can add that there now. Okay, I'm going to break it down a little bit more. Okay, and I'm going to describe some other things that I could see. So this is where I am going to use our work from Tuesday. So what I am going to do is I am going to decide on one of these sentences. So if I have a look, it says a compound sentence. So there was already one in there, but actually what I would like to do is I would like to include my own. So it would be really nice if you could include your own. So I'm going to find one that, so I've already talked about the golden cattle of the sun, so I'm not going to include that one. I've got two sentences here that I have joined together with a coordinating conjunction to make a compound sentence. So I am going to include that one here. So I'm not having to think about it all over again, because a lot of the work that we have done over the week has actually given us our ideas and built a bank of ideas that we can then use for this. So I'm going to use this one here. So I'm going to then write a pointy, poisonous tail. So I need to say where that was, so it dangled between bars. And then here is my coordinating conjunction to join, and I don't need a capital letter because obviously it's continuation of the sentence, and the so they were man eating birds. Good. Or beasts. Okay, what were they doing hovering above the beast? Oh, I'm going to say ready to dance. Okay, so what I have done is I've used this as my base, okay, but I have made it better by adding and going through and checking off the other things in my set and description checklist. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to choose a different colour so that we can, I'll do that, yeah, brilliant, so that we can go through and see if I have included all of those things. Okay, so the first thing on my checklist was prepositional phrases. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it all to you, and I want you to have a think about the prepositional phrases, the adverbial phrases, the sensors, the expanded noun phrases, compound sentences, adjectives, and similes. Okay, so as he approached the tall, gloomy stables, the disgusting smell of dirty animals filled his nostrils, and he heard roaring as loud as fireworks. When he entered the stables, a hideous griffin and the mighty cattle of the sun waited behind their huge pen doors. A pointy, poisonous basilisk's tail dangled between the stable bars, and the man-eating Stymphalian birds hovered above the beasts, ready to pounce. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's go through prepositional phrases. Let's have a look. Have I included prepositional phrases? Okay, can I write on? Okay, so have I included prepositional phrases? Let's have a look. I have got above the beasts. I have got between, dangled between the bars. I've got behind their huge pen doors. So I can say that I have included prepositional phrases. Have I included adverbial phrases? They were there already. So we've got those at the beginning. As he approached stables and when he entered the stables. Okay, have I used my senses? So I have said what I can smell, I have said what I can hear, and I have described what I can see. Okay, sorry about that. The phone was ringing, so I did pause the video because Mr. Bird is working from home. So I haven't included what it feels like. So that could be something else that I could do in order to make it even better. Have I used expanded noun phrases? So we did say that a noun was a person, a place, or thing. A noun phrase was when it had the determiner at the beginning. So the Stymphalian birds or the cattle of the sun. Many Stymphalian birds, sorry, were already in there as noun phrases, but there wasn't anything to expand that noun by using those describing words. So those describing words could come before the noun, or it could come after with that or with. So I have added mine before. So I've said a pointy, poisonous basilisk tail would be an expanded noun phrase, or the man-eating Stymphalian birds. So I have included those expanded noun phrases. Have I included a compound sentence? So here I have got my and, so I would have my triangle around that. So I have included that. I can cross that off. Adjectives, I've used lots of adjectives. So tall, gloomy, dirty, disgusting, hideous, mighty, huge, pointy, poisonous. So I include lots of adjectives, and I have my simile here. So roaring as loud as fireworks. Okay, so I have got that there. So I can see from my checklist that I have included the majority of the things. The thing that I haven't included is how I feel, but I am going to tick that because I have included what I saw, what I heard, and what I smelled. Okay, so that is us editing it together to make it even better. Okay, what I would like to do now is for you to have a go at doing it yourself. Okay, you can do it along with me. You can rewind this video and you can write it as I am writing it. So when I'm talking about my adjectives, it could be that you include your adjectives instead of the ones that I say. What I have also done that I will show you is for those of you who need a scaffold. So not everybody does need a scaffold. You do know who you are with a scaffold. I have done a sheet that has got the gaps. So it has got some spaces for you to add your adjectives to describe the stables, to describe the smell. It has got a space for you to write your simile. Okay, there is a space where you can add another adjective to describe the cap of the sun, and then a verb to say what they were doing inside their pen. And then the next one is, and Hydra slept, and then I would like you to add your prepositional phrase in order to complete that. So if you do need a scaffold, I will put it on Class Dojo for you, so that you can do that. I will also add the setting description checklist onto Dojo so that you can go through and you can tick it off to make sure that you have included everything. Okay, this is the last write before you come back. So we are really looking forward to seeing those setting descriptions and to read through those. So, okay, Year 3, I hope you found this useful. Here is just for your turn. Remember that if you are doing it in your book, you will need to add the date as we have here, the space for you to either stick the picture or draw your own picture of the stable, and then for you to write your setting description below your picture. If we look back to our presentation, there is an image and then the paragraph. Okay, Year 3, we look forward to reading those. Have a lovely last Friday for remote learning, and I will see you next week. Bye.